So what's going on? And I'm going to talk a bit about kind of how discovery platforms grew in the first place and became really large. And really, it was on this premise: without us, no one will ever find your event. And this left event promoters, marketers running your event feeling a little bit like this, terrified that no one's going to find your event. And the pitch really centered around kind of four things. It's like, if you trade the control of your brand and your data, we're going to give you access to new customers on our platform. You're going to get instant access to a large audience. Even if you've never run an event before and you're expecting 10 people to turn up, you're going to get the same audience as a massive event by hundreds of thousands of people. In exchange, you're going to pay 10% of your ticket fees, but we're going to do all the marketing for you, so you don't need to worry about marketing. And we will find customers who like similar events. So we can do very intelligent kind of finding and matching of customers. So this feels like a kind of fair value prop that seemingly would work. And, it did really fuel these event discovery platforms over the last 10 to 15 years. But why are we seeing this trend away? I was speaking to a venue promoter literally last week, didn't tell him about this talk, and he effectively recited back the reasons why, he's traditionally been on these discovery platforms, but why he wants to move to white label ticketing. So first of all, I thought I'd look at what makes a great marketplace before we look at kind of maybe why it doesn't work so well for events. So yeah, probably all used some of these: Airbnb, Uber, Deliveroo. They're kind of part of our day-to-day marketplaces that we interact with. And everyone knows, you don't have to go to business school to know they're made up of two sides. We've got suppliers and buyers. But from the supplier side, what makes a great marketplace is you're dependent on that marketplace for business. If you're an Uber driver, you are totally dependent on Uber in order to find customers. You probably can't find them by putting posters or doing your own SEO. It's the primary discovery platform for your service. So everyone goes to Uber or to Deliveroo to find that service. It's a relatively homogenous product on things like Uber and Airbnb. You're not too worried about the specific supplier. You just want to find accommodation, or you want some food, or you want a lift somewhere. Really important point, this one, which I'm going to talk about later, is it reducing acquisition costs. The only point of being on one of these platforms, if you're a supplier, is it's cheaper or lower cost to be on the discovery platform and to acquire customers another way. And ultimately, it brings you net new customers. There's no point being on these platforms if you're just selling to your existing customer base. You go on these platforms to discover new customers. And from the buyer's side, you want high density. You want to know that, if you go on Uber, there's going to be lots of drivers around you. Or if you're going to Barcelona to buy an apartment, there's loads of apartments in that particular area. You're fairly agnostic about the provider. Everything's in one place. You're not having to go to 10 different taxi apps to find it. You can go to one place and you find everything. There's a sense of reliability and trust of that platform, that they've been vetted. And there's benefits over buying direct, whether it's kind of insurance or security, or there's some reason why you would buy via the marketplace and not just direct. Anyone who's probably been on booking.com, you probably go and check the hotel, see if you can get it a little bit cheaper by going direct. Like that, people do that in a very it's kind of a typical customer behavior. So what about events then? How are they different, or are they different at all? How do your ticket buyers discover your events? You probably have lots of different channels that you're putting efforts behind. But the best way to think about this really is as a customer, and the last events that you went to, whether it was a gig, whether it was a sports show, whether it was an attraction. How did you end up buying that ticket? What are the steps or signals that you spotted that ended up meaning you bought a ticket? Best guess is it's probably via a friend. It's probably via, maybe you're following talent and that talent has posted, "Oh, I'm coming to your city," or you're following a brand that's running an event, something like that. Or maybe it's somewhere you've been before and they've emailed you to say, "Hey, we're doing another event in your city or near you." Fortunately, we work with quite a lot of event creators. So last year, I think we have 70,000 event creators on Ticket Tailor, and we do loads of surveys asking them about, not just about how they interact with Ticket Tailor, but also about, how their event's going, what marketing channels are important, what's the kind of state of the industry. And this question is always really interesting to track. What's your most important marketing channel? And yeah, this is kind of what 800 people came back and told us. Word of mouth is number one. or you'll see in a minute, equal number one. Um, but yeah, there's loads and loads of research and stats out there that people trust recommendations from friends and family more than anything else. And I think with events, that is more true than anything else. And yeah, word of mouth, if you think about your event, is definitely your most powerful channel. Then organic social, so your own socials, or maybe that social of your talent or brands that you're partnering with, that getting the message out there to people who are already in your community and already following you is the second most important channel. Then email feels outdated and old-fashioned, but we definitely see it at Ticket Tailor that the power of email to sell tickets is still really strong. People still really invest in it. And, again, that's to your own customer base, and you're trying to mine your existing customers and that data to sell more tickets. Then paid social comes in fourth. And then we get to discovery platforms down at 2.2%. And this isn't just our data. Like if you look around and you look at other proprietary data, discovery platforms are really low down for events. Whereas if you were looking at other marketplaces, that would be totally reversed in terms of where their discovery comes from. Just above print, and then a bunch of other stuff thrown in at the end there as well. So the reality for events, when you look at suppliers and buyers, and why I think discovery platforms are struggling for events and being powerful channels, is first of all, go back to that pie chart. You're not dependent on the marketplace for your customers. It might be part of your mix, but it's not the primary or even second thing that is helping you drive sales. Um, it's really difficult to stand out as well. Events, by their nature, are totally unique. They're totally dependent on probably niches within niches. And that makes discovery platforms quite hard. And typically, they might have tens or hundred thousands of events. And to kind of surface in front of the right customer is difficult. Yeah, as I said, unique products and customers as well. And they tend not to be the most cost effective of other channels. There tends to be cheaper ways to acquire ticket buyers. And then from the buyer's side, why isn't event discovery sort of the go-to place when you want to buy a ticket? And I think these four reasons are probably the main ones. It is a fragmented market. So depending on your interests or the type of events you want to go to, or the city you're in or country, you're going to be using a different type of discovery marketplace. So you can't, as a customer, know, oh, if I go there, I'm going to see all events. You have very specific tastes and preferences that are maybe hard to surface, and you're looking for something very specific. There tends to be very little additional benefit of buying direct. In fact, it tends to be more expensive to buy via a marketplace or discovery platform than buying direct. And there's no real certainty of reliability or the quality of the event from the marketplace itself. So what's the alternative? No surprises, I'm here to preach white label ticketing and tell you why we're seeing this huge trend of event organisers and promoters around the world turning to Ticket Tailor. I'm going to go through very quickly some of the big differences of when promoters switch to a white label platform, how that changes their businesses from discovery. First of all is your cost of acquiring customers. So if you're on the discovery platform, you're still paying for all your social media ads, your out of home ads, your influencer ads, whatever you're doing. And then you're paying the high cost of being listed on a discovery platform. Effectively, and I hear this again and again from promoters, is they feel like they're paying twice. They're paying for their primary marketing channels, and then they're paying again for the discovery platform charge. I haven't seen many discovery platforms out there that say, oh, if you bring us your own customers, you pay this price. And if we bring you a customer, we pay this price. It's just one flat price. Whereas white label platforms, you pay for your campaign costs and then a really small software fee. So you pay just to acquire your customers once, which sounds like an advantage to me. And then pricing, you're with discovery platforms, it's a blended cost. You're not quite sure what you're paying for. You're paying for loads of software, but also the promise of all this marketing. And when I speak to promoters, they're always really difficult to kind of split those two things. Like, how much value am I getting from the software versus what I'm paying these huge sums for the marketing? And typically it's around 10%, and obviously there's lots of different deals to be done and things, but it can be quite opaque pricing, and also quite high. And for festivals or like large venues, that runs into the hundreds of thousands of pounds to be on these discovery platforms. Whereas with white label platforms, you're really just paying for the software fee, and that typically is around 1% of the ticket price. So we yeah, again and again have people move into Ticket Tailor, and they're, depending on the size of event, saving tens if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. And usually the question is, what's the catch? And really the catch is because we're just selling you one thing. We're not kind of adding these services and having this opaque pricing structure. This is a really key point which I think is changing quite a lot at the moment, is data ownership. With discovery platforms, your customer data is used to promote and grow similar events. You know, they sell to you, we've got a big customer base. That customer base is obviously coming for other events, and it's kind of this cross-pollination of customers. And particularly larger events are now thinking like, hang on, why are we building the customer base of these ticket platforms when we're doing all the hard work to acquire the customers in the first place, and then we're just kind of sharing those customers with all our competitors. Um, White label platforms, totally different. We ring fence your data, only you can contact them. So we can have two competitors on the platform, and there's not this sense of like, well, we're just acquiring that person on Instagram, and then discovery platform is going to show them our exact competitor the next day after they've bought a ticket. And ultimately, this becomes an asset for your business that you grow over time and is something that is defensible. Branding, discovery platforms, you're usually pretty much, forced to adopt their branding. It'll be on their platform. They'll be buying it very much from that ticket platform. And other than the kind of look and feel, which is important when you're investing in brand, a big thing is around tracking. So we have people move solely for this reason, that they're spending loads on social, and then they're going on to the discovery platform, and really you're kind of at a real loss of your conversion, and you're not tracking people through the funnel to see, okay, this campaign drove this much. Whereas white label platforms, it's your brand front and center, it's fully customized, and it's your domain as well. So you can do tracking all the way through the funnel. Payments, getting towards the end here of the differences, really important one. And yeah, for those of you doing events during COVID, this was a massive reason that we saw loads of people switch over to Ticket Tailor. With discovery platforms, your revenue tends to be held on the ticket platform, who control payout schedule, and the money is sitting in an escrow account of the ticket platforms. They are controlling your cash. The liquidity of their business is related to your business in some way. Whereas white label platforms, ticket revenue is sent direct into your processor account, and you control the money, you control the cash. Marketing, I think I've touched on this before, but you're reliant on the discovery platform and their audience. You're often got some exclusivity, so you're not bouncing between all the different discovery platforms. Whereas the beauty of white label platforms, and something we're really investing in, is it's your own channels that you're investing in and building out, but then you can plug into third-party channels. I might turn your volumes up a little bit for the drone show. So in summary, these are the key differences, I think, between discovery platforms and white label platforms. Discovery platforms, I think you lose control. You're over-reliant on a single channel. It's a high cost to acquire customers. Whereas white label platforms, we're all about putting you in control, build your sustainable and owned marketing channels, and it's low fees, high margin. So there is a caveat, which I think is worth acknowledging, is when discovery does work. And I think there's two or three scenarios. One is high location density. So if you're in a city where the discovery platform has total control of that city, then discovery platforms can work very well. If you've got really high genre density, so if you're in a very specific genre where people know I can go here and see all of those type of events. And also you need spare capacity. If you're selling out or even nearly selling out, you really shouldn't be putting much of your inventory at all on discovery platforms, because you're driving all of the sales. So this is the best practice that we're kind of seeing events do now, and most promoters that work with us are doing some combination of this. They put 90 to 95% of their inventory on a white label platform, where they're paying the minimum cost, they're paying that 1% software fee to sell as many tickets as possible. And then they're putting 5 or 10% of their inventory on really targeted discovery platforms that are going to bring them genuinely new customers, and they're not just chucking everything on there and hoping for the best. It allows you to maximize your profits, maximize control, and ultimately maximize ticket sales. So just wrapping up now, one final prediction. And I know that the event next to me is AI in events, and I think, yeah, no surprises that this is coming up. But AI event discovery is coming very quickly, and most of you probably have already used it in some sort of way. And for us, this is a really exciting opportunity, because I think to be honest, it's going to move people away more than discovery channels, because you're going to be using these large language models to find your exact specific preferences and events. And also, if you've seen, Stripe have announced they're doing integrations with ChatGPT, so you'll actually be able to do ticket payments inside these models. So for me, I think this is going to be a further step away from kind of cutting out these discovery middlemen platforms from, your event marketing mix. So yeah, that's it. That's I guess the trend that we're seeing. And yeah, I'd love to chat to you guys afterwards if you have any more questions. A few QR codes there. You have to zoom in probably to get them, but we've got a stand over the other side of the hall. So please come and say hello. And thank you for listening.